This might be the most important video of the day.
For the first time in our nation's history, a 30-year-old man or woman isn't doing as well as his or her parents were at 30. That is the social compact breaking down. People aged 30 to 34, 60% of them in 1990 had one child. Now it's 27%. People are opting out of America. They're not optimistic about it. They're not having kids. Young people aren't having sex. They're not meeting. They're not mating. The pool of emotionally and economically viable men shrinks every day, which lessens household formation. So we have a real issue. Young people are enraged. So it turns every cut, every movement into an opportunistic infection because, quite frankly, they are just pissed off. They look up, they see wealth, exceptional wealth across my generation and people in certain industries, and they are really struggling. Their purchasing power is going down, and the incumbents create artificial scarcity on campus. We take pride in rejecting 90% of our applicants, so the incumbents who already have a degree see their degree go up in value. We get very concerned with housing and traffic once we own a housing. Housing permits are sequestered from young people. Housing prices have gone from $290 to $420 in the last 4 years. So a young person, a house, stocks that I don't own skyrocket in value. Let's have COVID relief and flush the markets and take assets way up, because if 1 million people dying would be bad, it would be tragic if I got less wealthy. And we're doing it on their credit card. Young people have every reason to be enraged, and every issue they see, they look up, they get angry, and they see someone doing better than them. And then every day it is speedballed in their face that they are failing, that they are not doing as well as everyone around them. We have lost the script. Our kids are more anxious and more depressed and more obese and more addicted, and we have made a purposeful decision to let this happen by ensuring that people around this table stay wealthy at the cost of young people.
That opening statement, for the first time in our nation's history, a man or woman isn't doing as well as his or her parents in their 30s is. This is the most correct and most incredible statement I've heard on MSNBC, let alone Fox News, whatever. Because I'm in this boat, unfortunately. I feel like I am not doing as well as my parents. I still live in an apartment. I feel like I can't afford a effing home. I feel like my American dream is non-existent. I feel like the idea of me having kids one day is almost economically impossible. I feel like I'm going to end up in these effing 15-minute cities and struggling to get by. It sucks. It really sucks. And it sucks even more when people in higher power or higher positions tell you that everything is just fine. Shut your mouth. The statistics say that the economy is doing just great. It's not doing just great. If young people feel this way, it's not because they're deluded or some paranoid schizophrenic freaks that just feel like they can't get by. This economy is difficult. This world is difficult. This America is difficult. I don't even feel like I've grown up in the same country. Growing up in the 90s, it's just two different countries. And it's funny when this is like such an obvious statement, but it's so profound to hear on MSNBC. You know, it's like the voice of the unheard is finally being heard on some of these bigger platforms. It's like, hey, shut up and listen. Stop telling us that these MAGA right-wing extremists are the actual problem when it's everyone else in power. It's the MAGA right-wing extremists that are screaming, hey, this economy sucks, this president sucks, we're heading to World War III, and I don't see any hope. I don't see this country turning around. That's why the movies like Civil War are coming out. That's why Tim Pool constantly talks about Civil War. It's because young men are angry and feel like whatever American dream we were sold was an absolute lie. We're watching the country being flooded by illegal immigrants that we're just obviously going to give amnesty to. I mean, there's no way we're deporting all these people. I mean, anybody that thinks we're deporting all these people, that's election talk. I don't believe it until I see it. I don't believe it. I think we're just going to give all these people amnesty. Now we're going to have a new wave of influx of low-income workers, which will only affect the lower-income communities, which will further make people more angry. The housing crisis is already a crisis. There's already not enough houses. People are angry. People aren't having kids. Why aren't they having kids? It's because they can't afford it. They don't see the idea of having a kid seems so strapped economically that they're barely getting by as it is. Why would they have kids now? They're not safe in their home. They don't feel secure in their career fields. Nothing about America feels secure right now. And when you don't feel secure, you're not going to have kids. It's not because, you're trying to live this childish dream of just like, waking up and playing video games to 3 a.m. every single night. Yes, that might be a small factor, a small amount of people. But I think it's really, people are just so struggling right now that they can't think about having a kid because adding another mouth to feed seems almost impossible while they're living in their 1-bedroom apartment that they're paying, $2,000 to $3,000 a month to live in. I know people that have mortgages for like $400. I could have a huge house with the rent that I'm paying, but no. And that statement too, that housing has gone from $290 to $420. What a huge starter home amount to get into the market with. I mean, right now with interest rates, you're gonna be paying like over $3,000, $4,000 a month to get into one of these $400,000 homes. And you think you're gonna have a down payment for that? Young people are angry. And I work with a lot of young people that are very, very angry and feel like this America isn't the America they grew up in. This America isn't the America that they were sold. They're considering moving out of the country. They're considering a lot of options. And yes, our adults in the 30s and below are more filled with anxiety about the world, more filled with anxiety about their future than ever before. You're not just going to work out and feel good and then you're going to be fine. This is like some kind of alpha male bullshit. There is real issues and real problems happening in America, especially with our 30s and below. And it's going to be a disaster for this country. You can't just tell an entire generation to shut your mouth. It's not going to happen. Because as those people get older and they get more desperate, they're going to get more angry. This country has a real problem on its hands. A real problem. And everything feels like it's coming to a pinnacle. If they would just find a way to make it affordable to live in America, to be able to have a home, to be able to live the American dream, to raise children, feel good about their country, feel good about the direction of the country is going, things would get so much better, but they refuse to. Because they have made way more money and they have stayed in power much longer by using fear. And fear is a hell of a drug. Fear is a hell of a drug. And they have made it worse and worse and giving you anxiety over and over again. That's not right. It's really kind of fucking pisses me off. How they manipulate you for their gain. Let me know what you think of this video. If you don't mind dropping a like, I would greatly appreciate it. And putting a comment below, it just helps the algorithms out. But what a effing first statement. For the first time in our nation's history, a man or woman isn't doing as well as his or her parents in their 30s. For the first time. So if you ever hear somebody say the economy's doing well, shut them up. Slap them in their face. They're only listening to propaganda. This happened on MSNBC. God. Amazing. I appreciate you guys. Have a wonderful day. Zima community. Love you. Bye.